So, welcome back everyone to the last video of the training organization series. In this video, we are going to consider the last phase, the post-processing phase, and I have to admit I was thinking if I should integrate it because the post-processing is not that much different in a remote setting than in an on-site setting, but due to the importance of this topic, and the fact that it is very often underrated, I decided to integrate it. So let's take 1 minute just to reflect what is post-processing and what are we doing here. So typically when the training is finished, so we are done, everyone is exhausted, and we're just running out the door. And in a remote setting, this is pretty similar because sitting the whole day or even 2 or 3 days in front of the computer and getting new content to know, this is very exhaustive for the participants and also for the trainer. So when we're done, we get a positive feedback and everything, we're just, I'm finished and we just want to leave, drop the pen and that's it. But we have to realize that after the participants leave the training room, be it on-site or remote, we are not yet finished because there is some post-processing. And this is a very important task because you really can change things with that. So 2 things are to consider here. The first one is, of course, we want to get some feedback to improve, and maybe if people did like something specifically and they write it down in the feedback, then of course it helps them to remember as well. But aside of the feedback, there is one more important thing, which is the opportunity to set an impulse for the people to do something. So when we do a training, in the end, it's not about attending a training, it's about attending the training and then changing something. So people either they learn something new, they want to be motivated to do something. So the real magic happens after the training. And from my perspective, the question if my training was a success or not is not that much related with the feedback, but it's more related with the question on, are the people changing something after the training? Did they learn something new? Do they apply something new? So for that reason, I think that the post-processing is our big chance to trigger an impulse with a little bit of distance. Because if we leave the room, again, we are exhausted, we have tons of mails waiting for us in the account. So the next day after the training, typically participants have other things to do than reflecting on the training. So here a protocol that is handed over to the participants maybe a week later or 10 days later could be the one subsequent impulse that is necessary to make them think back and trigger some action. So let's take a look how we can handle these things. So 2 aspects again. One is the feedback. The second one is an impulse for participants to take action. So let's talk about the feedback first. Well, in an on-site training, we would make a roundup with everyone being able to say something. Which opportunity we have in the remote setting is we could, for example, we could use either a mural to get some qualitative feedback where people really can drop a message saying what they did like, where we could improve, or some general suggestions. Or if you prefer some automated elaboration of the training, then maybe you could also use some forms which can be assessed automatically. So that's up to you. That's just some different opportunities. Also, one question is, would you like to ask participants for the feedback at the end of the training day or maybe after the training? So both scenarios have benefits and drawbacks. I guess it's also a matter of taste. So that's on the feedback topic. And a little bit more important to me is the question of a training protocol, because the protocol is very often just considered as a must-do action just to finish it and to be able to write an invoice or something to complete everything. And very often, if I attend the training, I receive a protocol in a way of some summaries and links right after the training. But I personally prefer to have really well elaborated protocols. So I always prepare a slide deck because this is the chance that aside of triggering some impulse, we also can use this format to structure our key messages again. Yeah, and so in the best case, when people browse through and they will again see the pictures that they created, see the exercises, have something they can remember, then maybe this can trigger the impulse. So the protocol in the end is an additional channel that we can use for the communication with the participants in order to make something happen, whatever is the goal of the training. So of course, the elaboration of such a protocol, if you really want to have a nice one, is like a ton of work. So my hint at that place is to strive for efficiency. So what do we typically integrate in such a protocol? I prefer for all topics to summarize the key messages, which is something that I can prepare in advance. Then I integrate all the pictures that we develop together. And as you have seen in the earlier videos, all the pictures that I draw, they have been drafted in advance. So I typically draw the same pictures in the same trainings. And the third part is the exercises, where people really can reflect on what they created. In the same way, of course, we also integrate the takeaways, which is considered as an exercise as well. So all these things can be prepared in advance. So you can create your template with the key messages, with the pictures, and the only thing that you have to integrate are screenshots from your murals, from the exercises, and this can be done very efficient. So there's just one hint from my side. Instead of just taking a screenshot from the mural, it is better to make an export. Let me show you how this one works. It's very simple. So we have opened a mural right here. And in the mural, I just have to readjust my screen a little bit. In the mural, you have the share functionality. And here in the share functionality, you have an option to export a particular mural. And you can export it as a PDF. And this has the benefit that all the sticky notes and all the images are integrated as vector graphics. So which means you can zoom in and you have you really can read what's written on them. So this improves the quality. But the main thing is try to get a really nice and clean protocol, because this is not just a must-do thing. Rather, this is an additional channel that you have towards the participants, which is happening after the training. So the chance to set an impulse and to be motivated to do something like that, it's useful to have a very efficient process. And just a hint, if the protocol templates are already prepared by the trainer, then inserting the pictures from the murals is something which typically can be done by the administration. And in the end, the only thing that counts is that participants receive a protocol that they really want to look in because they find some particular value inside. Yeah, so to summarize this one topic, basically there is not much difference between the on-site training and the remote training. As mentioned earlier, I decided to integrate this part just to bring your attention to the point of the importance of the protocol, as this is not a must-do action, but it's a chance to make something happen right after the training. Yeah, and basically that's it. Now we're done with all the training steps. And in the next video, we want to take a look at the differences between a lecture and a training. Because as you can guess, a typical training situation takes a whole day or even more days. So we need to put more focus on the aspect of the training choreography and the orchestration. And in a lecture situation, which spans over, I don't know, one semester with different 90 minutes blocks, we typically have different challenges. But that's what we discuss in the next video. So see you there.